Hey, good evening YouTube, it's me Chris and you are watching Coins in the Wild. Welcome to the channel this evening. Have we got an unboxing video for you? This is our next batch of coins returned from PCGS, and we also have a bit of a controversy I'd like to talk to you about this evening. So as we get to our unboxing, I wanted to explain that it's been said on some of the YouTube channels that when you send your coins out for grading to PCGS, that when you use the slower service, I think it's the economy, you tend to get lesser grades. And you might be surprised. Let's take a look at what happened this evening. Now, I do want to say that I'm getting quite comfortable with some of the grades that you're looking for as far as determining the certain grade of a coin. I'm really beginning to get comfortable with certain ones, like for example, and you'll notice it here, not necessarily like MS68s or MS69s, but the ones right in the middle in the sweet spot, the MS66s, MS67s, MS65. I'm starting to get very comfortable in identifying those. And oops. Let's just go ahead and cut into it. And so I'm kind of noticing like a certain pattern that I'm able to identify certain coins pretty consistently. And I'll tell you what I look for. Maybe you do too when you're sending out your coins for grading. But I look for coins that are at least mint state 67, 68, 69. I haven't yet actually seen a mint state 70 that I was comfortable saying was actually a mint state 70 coin. And but you'll notice here, and I'll get into this and we'll take a quick look at these. You'll notice here, as we open up this box, that I'm kind of falling into like a certain pattern of coins that are grade of coins, and I'm starting noticing that with myself as well. So hopefully you see that. But there's some disappointments in here, and some that are really, in my opinion, I actually am questioning PCGS grades, and we'll talk about that in just a second. So let's take a look at our first example. Our first coin is a 1986 Washington quarter, and you'll see this is the one that came back, one of the ones that came back in question. Mint state 64, which I'm surprised. You notice that this coin has a lot of luster. The one thing that I'll say, because they don't have a lot of activity in the fields, there's not a lot of chatter or anything like that. The one thing I'll say is I didn't think that this coin was particularly well struck. So that could be a reason for a lesser grade. But generally speaking, when I send out a coin for grading, I feel 100% certain that it's not going to come back anything less than a mint state 65. So this Washington quarter 1986 Philadelphia Mint, mint state 64 is a bit of a surprise to me and a disappointment. But that's why I'm saying there's a bit of a controversy. I use the economy service on this batch instead of the express and or standard, and I think that does seem like a factor, especially looking at this coin. You know, you can see it for yourself in the light. I don't know where 64 would have come from with a coin like this, fresh out of the pack. Really, you can tell there's very little chatter in the fields. And overall, the only thing that I could think of is maybe the coin wasn't particularly well struck. And then you'll notice the reverse of the coin as well. It's got a lot of luster. It's a good looking coin, reflective, I would say. You know, if it was a little better struck, it could have been a cameo. You might not, you know, it's possible. So I'm really surprised. MS64 doesn't seem correct, and it seemed like something might be off about these grades. Let's look at our next example. All in all, we've got 12 coins here for you today on the channel, and there's more batches to come. Now this is a 1985 Denver Mint Washington quarter MS65. I would have expected that. I would have expected no less than MS65, and you can tell actually this one looks like it is a little better struck, and looks like a similar appearance in the fields. Really not much chatter at all. Let's look at the reverse on this coin. And that might be the only difference there between these two coins. You could probably see that in the video, that the MS64 seems like it's not quite as well struck as the MS65. And you know what, just for argument's sake, let's just bring them both back into view. And here's the 65. Look at Washington's hair, seems a little better struck. Let's look at the 64. Look at Washington's hair, perhaps not quite as well struck. I'm going to use an untechnical term. It looks a little smooshy, like he had a bad hair day. And see, you can see the difference. So maybe that was it. We're gonna, defer to PCGS on this one, but there's other ones in here that are really surprising, and I really don't think merit the grade. But let's take a look. So let's look at our next example. Here's one of our good ones. Yeah, and you can see it right away. See how well struck the coin is. Washington's hair is really well defined. Similar, there's no chatter in the fields. Overall, it's very clean. No markings on the face. And so Mint State 67, 1995, Philadelphia Mint. So that's what I was saying about, I seem to be in this groove where I'm hitting 67s consistently, not hitting 68s or 69s that way. You're noticing coins in the lower grades. I'm starting to identify where I may be making mistakes, and so kind of got to defer to PCGS on some of these. But you can tell right away that this coin is a little better struck. So, and then here's the reverse, and you can really see it on the reverse. Really well defined eagle feathers. And again, overall, very reflective, nice coin. So maybe that's something to learn from this video if you're considering taking or sending your coins out for grading, is make sure, in addition to having nice clear fields with very little chatter or no chatter at all, you want to make sure the coin is well struck before sending it out. So maybe PCGS really nailed it on that coin, and you'll be interested in seeing some of these other coins that are coming up. So I'm going to hang on to this Mint State 67. That's a keeper. Some of these lesser coins that are not doing so well, I actually arranged with a local dealer to buy the coins from me, and I'm just basically wholesaling them out, just trying to offset some of my costs. Now here's one that surprised me. This is a 1990D Denver Mint Roosevelt dime, Mint State 67. I 100% believe this was Mint State 68. And again, my only thought was there's got to be something about how well struck the coin was that made it a lesser grade, because looking at this coin under 10 times magnification, and I'll try to get in as close as I can, it was flawless on the front and on the back. So the only thing that I could think of is maybe there was a nick on the rim, which is very likely. I don't remember the condition of this coin. And then you would think that if it wasn't quite as well struck, that we could have a problem. You can see it's not full bands. The first one on top of the torch looks good, but not the one on the bottom. And so that may have been a factor in determining the grade of this coin. Mint State 67 is what it came back as. I'm happy. I'm going to keep this one, but overall I was disappointed. I thought it should have gotten a little better grade, and I'll have to look at this a little closer once I finish this video and see how it all really turned out, and maybe I can learn from it a little bit more. Let's look at our next example. Oh, here's another keeper. 1995 Philadelphia Mint, Kennedy half, and it's Mint State 67. And again, now this one has a little bit of chatter in the fields, and you can see that even in the light. I'm going to try to get away from the overhead light. A little bit of chatter in the fields, but Kennedy's hair, well struck, well defined, no marks in the hair. Overall, there's a little slight activity there on the cheek, very slight. Can only see it with a reflection, but overall, you see that upper cheekbone? Overall, it looks really good. And so Mint State 67. So this one turned out, I would actually say this one turned out better than expected. I might have, looking at it again, I might have called this a 66. And then you might have noticed in my last unboxing video that I talked about the shield. See how clean the shield is? That's really important. If you've got a little bit of activity, you're probably going to get a 66. You might get a 67 if it's only slight. And it's really about whether or not it's visible to the naked eye and whether or not you can see it under 5 times magnification. So, And I grade all of mine personally with 10 times, and occasionally I'll pull out the 20 times jeweler's loupe depending on what I'm looking for. But usually that's related to a mint mark. Okay, so let's look at our next coin. And here again, I think this is the last of the streak. Here again is a 1995 Philadelphia Mint, Kennedy half, MS67. And you can see just really slight chatter, really ever so slight chatter in the fields. Nice luster. You can see that when I move the coin. Kennedy's hair, well defined. It's looking really good. And that may have been the difference in this MS67 grade on this coin. And you'll notice it's got a little bit of the strike on this is interesting because it's not quite mirror reflective. It's more like it's got a little bit of a special finish strike on it, but I think that I don't know how to identify that properly when you're grading a coin, so I have to ask somebody that might know more about it than I do. There's the shield. Overall looks pretty good. A little bit of activity there on the top, you can see it on the left. But overall looks good. Fields look clear, fairly clear. Looking good other than that. So there is the 1995 Philadelphia Mint Kennedy half. So those four are the keepers. And let's look at some of the disappointments now. So now here we have a 1985 Denver Mint Kennedy half, and you'll notice immediately what's the difference on this. If the coin is not as well struck, see Kennedy's hair? It's a little more flat. And let's do this. He's having a bad hair day in 1985 Denver Mint. But the 1995, see the difference in the hair? And then look at the hair on the 1985. You can see it right away. It's that definition that determines whether or not it meets that grade or not. So that's something to learn from, because no matter how much I turn this baby around in the light, it still doesn't have, the hair is not as well defined. So Mint State 66, not a bad grade, but I was thinking it was 67, but I think I'm learning something from my coin grading experience now. Now let's take a look at, here's one that was a bit of a disappointment, a 1972 Denver Mint, MS65 Kennedy half. And there is some definition in the hair. You can see that just over the ear and then on top of the head. But overall, when you look at the part, the hairline part, it's flat. And so, yeah, you're definitely seeing it didn't make the grade. This coin, I would say, when you look at the fields, is much cleaner or clearer than the others. So PCGS seems to be weighting the definition of Kennedy's hair, and I talked about that in the last video. So that seems to be a big factor in the obverse of a coin. So if you're personally grading your own coins before you send them off, keep that in mind. That seems to be a definite determining factor. Because as I rotate this coin, see the luster? Those fields are clearer than the other coins that we've already looked at. We've probably looked at 3 or 4 Kennedy halves already, and it was the definition of the hair just right there at the part. It's just not as clean or not as well defined as it is over the ear and then on top of the head, and that seems to be the difference in this coin. So well done, PCGS. I can see what you're getting at here. Let's look at the reverse. And this is not focusing. There it goes. So yeah, that looks like it's not well struck. When you look at the eagle's head, it's almost a blob. I got the iPad camera focusing in, and yeah, fields are pretty clear. I see something really slight. Maybe you see it on the left just above those. I think that's an olive branch, but overall it's clear, and I think it's just not as well struck, and that's the reason for MS65. Give you another look at it and zoom in here. Yep, it's just not there. But overall, it's still a very nice coin, something I'm sure anybody would want to have in their collection. Now let's continue on. Let's see what else we got here. 1971 Denver Mint. And again, we have that same situation going on with Kennedy's hair. Overall, there is some markings to the left there on the field, although they still called it MS65. But overall, it's really well struck. There's a bit of luster to it. Not too much, but there's a bit of some. You can see it there. And let's look at the reverse. On the coin again, the eagle. It's in focus on the camera. And it looks like a bit of a blob, the eagle's head. And the shield has some light contact marks there towards the middle bottom of the shield. But overall, a good looking coin, something I'm sure anyone would like to have in their collection. So put that there. And we'll get to a few more. There's one that's really disappointing. Let's see if this is it. Here we go. Super disappointing, and don't know, I'm not sure I agree with this at all. 1971, it looks like Philadelphia Mint, MS63, Kennedy half. So we run into the same situation with Kennedy's hair. Just overall is not as well struck. There are some slight contact marks on the face, you can see that. I was probably thinking this was a 65, and you see some marks in the field. So definitely this, as far as condition goes, this is not as nice as some of the others. See some marks in the shield. I would not have called this a 63, I might have called it a 64. Definitely would not have called it a 63. Yeah, so kind of disappointing on this one. So interesting coin, and I won't spend too much time on that, it's kind of a bummer. Let's look at the last two coins that I sent in this batch. 1970 Philadelphia Mint, Lincoln Cent. And overall, a good looking coin. Now, I will say something about these. These I left out, and they were in the Mylar flip, but I left them out on a desk or a table or something, and I think they oxidized a little bit. And because they don't look as good as when I took them out, and I think that played a role in the grade. MS66 red, 1970, still good looking penny. Definitely something I'm sure somebody would like to have if they're not. If their collection is not collecting some of the higher end coins, then something like this is probably definitely worth their time and money. So very nice overall, good looking Lincoln Cent. And then finally, one last coin in this batch. It is a 1980 Denver Mint, MS65 red Lincoln Cent. There it is. It's got some luster to it, you can see the luster. But a little bit of chatter in the fields, and a little disappointed. I don't know about a 65. But then I will say something about Lincoln Cents in general, that when they come out of the mint packs, they always seem to be the best quality coins in the mint packs. They come out looking the best overall. And it looks like it oxidized a little bit on the back, and that may have something to do with the grade. It's got something going on there. Some coloration, and that might have had something to do with it. Well, YouTube, it's me, Chris. You're watching Coins in the Wild. Welcome to the channel tonight. Thank you for watching this video. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I invite you to do so, please. And please hit that like button if you like this video. And please hit that bell for upcoming future videos. We've got more videos to come. We've got at least 2 more unboxing videos in the next few weeks. And we're also going to have some stock picks in the upcoming videos, so I want to welcome you to please stay tuned in to the channel, and I look forward to sharing my next video with you. Thanks again, it's me, Chris. You're watching Coins in the Wild. Thank you for tuning in this evening, and have a great night, YouTube. Bye now.